Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It is time for the Tech Talk once again. We're doing it on the Saturday this time, because yesterday I just wanted to kind of chill. Played a penguin game, so had a bunch of penguins in it. I can't remember what it was called, but we're probably going to play some more today. United Penguin Kingdom, we're going to become the best penguins. But yeah, so recording this on Saturday, obviously last week was just more dev server stuff and more dev blogs and all that stuff. So we got the announcement of course, the new event, which, I mean, came out with a bit of damp squib. Hey, Intel i9, nice to see you, Teddy. Nice to see you too, Sneaky. So, yeah, well, what we're going to do today is we're going to do the piss off operation, or however you say it, do the tech talk, and then also later on a few other things. So, should be quite a nice little setup. Obviously, you know, been a little bit busy this week doing things, but at the same time been doing okay and sorting everything out. But I don't think the last Tech Talk came out on the Monday, but I recorded it on the Sunday, and this one we're doing on the Saturday, so it should be back to normal. Since, you know, we don't have to worry about the dev server. Last set of questions were pretty cool, and it's been actually really fun, just chilling. And now I've been watching the Six Nations, and there was Scotland lost to Italy, which is ridiculous. They got out-muscled, which is insane. I didn't think that they would. And then England right now, at least watching, are beating Ireland. But, you know, we'll see what goes on, because Ireland are a very powerful team right now. So let's go through the comments, see what people say, and then we can just chill and, you know, obviously play a bit of this to get the good old operation done. Thank you once again for the timestamps by Koam-chan. Last week, I got him Helldivers, and he said he's been having a great time with it. So that's basically, you know, when it comes to the timestamps and stuff, you know, I mean, it's really kind that, you know, he puts himself out to do it every week, and I can't really thank him enough. I see a lot of the Tech Talk stuff and a lot of the other stuff as kind of lost leaders, meaning that, you know, they technically cost more money to create or to do instead of, like, you know, you get out of it. But I think it's super important, at least for me, to have stuff like this, so we could just kind of sit down and chat about stuff from, you know, more of kind of like a you know, from more of a getting people involved stuff and sorting it all out. I think it's super important to do that instead of being stuck in a place where you just kind of go through the same stuff over and over again. But thank you, Crown-chan. Thank you for doing that a lot. So we have, first of all, Insane Robert. So let's just see what Insane Robert says. For the April Fool's event, I'd like the Return of Godzilla. The one... let's see. This one would be amazingly fun in a combined arms event, fighting it like a raid boss battle with 20 other people. Yeah, when they did Godzilla, it was kind of weird because it was only on the dev server, so you had to download the dev server in order to get access to it, which I never really understood. I think that was like the last time they did a. That was the last time they did something like that, where, you know, it was only available on the dev server. It is interesting how the the naval event that they're bringing in is going to finish on the 1st of April. So it looks like they're probably still going to be doing, you know, events with that. Whether they, you know, do a brand new event, which they usually do, as long as it's better than last year. Last year's thing was just super rough. Like, when it came to all those things. Hey, Kianza, I see you too, Artan. Hopefully you're doing alright. The major problem was with the mobile infantry one was just straight up desync. Like, it it was awful to play. And I feel like with a lot of these events, what they used to do is they used to do it so they were available for like a week or even just like a weekend. Like, there was a lot of April Fool's events that were only available for like 3 or 4 days, which were definitely not exactly great, right? But now, the way that the events go is they're all what's the word? Like, way too long, and it's just doing the same stuff over and over again. I see you, Dreadnought. Hopefully you're doing good. Yeah, the last year's event got real old real fast. And even with like balance changes or whatever, it didn't matter because, you know, the actual meta of it really didn't change that much. The meta was more down to what your ping was than the actual game mode itself. It just wasn't fun to play or, you know, do anything like that. So yeah, it got boring after about 2 days. The Battle of Arrakis event I feel like was a lot more fun, and the Atomic Hearts event also was a lot more fun than that one. So maybe they figured it out, but who knows? They'll probably bring back something. Usually they bring back an event during this time, but I'm guessing with the new event system, they felt like they didn't need to do that or would get in the way. Hey, Apocalypse, nice to see you. Which model kit are you building? I hope you don't have to play the April Fools for the next event vehicle. I'll tell you what, it's kind of looking like you might. Like, because there's always... The April Fools event used to be the crafting event, right? So, now that they've said that crafting events don't exist anymore, and also because April Fools in the past has been used to... what's the word? Test stuff, right? Whether it's like mechanics or whether it's like ways of grinding stuff, you know for a fact that that's gonna happen again. Like they're gonna try and introduce some kind of weird system probably, which is going to be a system to, you know, research like a new type of vehicle or, you know, move around in a specific way. So we'll have to see what goes on with it. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully it'll be okay. But yeah, the April Fool's event I know is one thing a lot of people look forward to. For me, I look forward to it too, right? It's not ever like a really negative thing. It's just some get really dull really quickly and others don't, you know? Hey Banco, nice to see you. Nice to see you too, Hannah. Hopefully you're doing good. North American Texan? Oh, that'll be fun. Okay, it's just a guy sat in our spawn. Fair enough then. So next update you won't be able to do that. Crazy. Because they're adding in the spawn camping measures, so you won't be able to do that. Then we have good old Manuel Guedes. Hi Tech. In the video you made about the Zastora 45, you showed that if a modification was uninstalled, the angle of fire of the guns increased at the expense of armor. The only other case I know of that we take off a part of a vehicle to gain something is the Panzer 3M. If the wider tracks Winterketten are removed, it's added an armored skirt to the side of the vehicle. The tank gets more armor while the track strength is reduced. Do you know of other vehicles that have this type of trade-off? Well, the VFW, the good old VFW has that, which is, you know, the first one which had this type of mechanic, which is it's a German event vehicle basically, which is just a big old fat, a big old fat machine with a massive gun on it. I can't think of many others that do stuff like that where it's a bit of a trade-off. I suppose some of the later tier vehicles do have a few things that change with them, but it's never really like a negative that happens with them. It's usually just something which improves it. Like, you know, if you have a look like the T80 or the T72, it's usually okay. We're improving the armor, right? Like it's never something that's like negative, really. I feel like yeah, the VFW is there. There is technically a few other vehicles that could be like that. But the weird thing about the Winterketten and the Ostketten thing, like they added it and then they just like didn't do anything with it. Yeah, the TOG as well, yeah. The Breda, can you even move the things on the Breda? I don't think you can, right? But yeah, so the VFW, which is this one, it has exactly the same mechanic as the Zastora, so you can go up or down, right? And then the TOG has the machine gun things on the side, so I don't really know what it gives you. I mean, I suppose it gives you the I suppose it gives you the machine guns. But yeah, so the you have this, and then you have the GWP, which adds the little things here, and then also adds the 76mm smoke launcher in the front. So it also adds like 5 weak spots. So it's usually not best to do that. So yeah, there's a few of them. I'm kind of surprised we didn't get any more kind of track changes or anything like that, especially since there is a lot of vehicles which could get upgrades like that. Like technically Shermans could get upgrades like that and things such as that. And since a lot of these like use the same stuff, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done it yet. Like they did it to these guys. So you can see like the Winter Keston on this one. But yeah, if you remove it, it actually adds the extra armor on the side again. But yeah, they added it one update and then that was it. It was super weird. It was as if like one person was just like working on something and then they just decided not to work on it again. Like, I feel like if we go back in War Thunder's history, it could have gone a very different way with how a lot of modifications for vehicles work. Like, for example, there's a ton of vehicles in this game where you get modifications for guns. Like a lot of the Japanese ones, like the Kicker, the Ki 43s, you unlock modifications which are a mod for the vehicle, which gives you access to either the same or different guns. Same with like the Yak 9s, right? Where there's that Yak 9 which is getting added to the Hungarian tree, but also the one which is in the Soviet one, the Yak 9P. Like that thing can have 20s on it, 23s, 37. Like there's a bunch of different stuff. So it's all just about like what does it get and all of that. But imagine if they'd done that with like, I don't know, the Puma, where instead of having like, you know, 4 different versions of the 234, you had one version and you could change all of its turrets to that version. It's very similar to how like World of Tanks works, right? But I feel like a balance of something like that would just be, God, it would just be so hard to do. Like it would actually pretty much be impossible, which is why I kind of prefer this system. But yeah, there's a few trade-off stuff, and yeah, I hope in the future that's one of those things they focus on, because the trade-offs are pretty fun. So we have Jerry. Nice to see you, Jerry. If you didn't know, on the dev server, Hesh got a massive buff. The way it now works is that it can go through any single armor plate, no matter the thickness. What? But it still gets stopped by side skirts and multiple plates of armor. I'm personally happy about this change. Finally, Hesh will be back to its former glory. Also, there was stuff found in the files talking about an extraction game mode. Maybe it's something to do with the April Fool's event. Extraction? Well, I mean, that's the hot thing right now. Like, when it comes to certain games, right? Whether it's like Tarkov or whether it's like others. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's, maybe you'll have to go into a place, take it down, and then, get out of there, like, afterwards. Yeah, could be some like alien stuff. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about that, but also I haven't looked at any of the data mines of the most recent dev server. Yeah, like it's an extraction shooter, right? Like you turn up, you fight something, or you rescue somebody and then you run away, right? But like it's Tarkov does the same thing, right? Same with not Dishonored. What was that? What was that like looter shooter that they made, which is like post-apocalyptic America? They made like 2 of them. They were like, it was like big for a year and then everybody forgot it existed. But yeah, I don't believe anything anybody ever tells me about Hesh, because people just lie to me constantly about how useful Hesh is, or oh, it got buffed, or oh, it didn't get buffed. I don't care. Hesh is useless. Hesh will always be useless. Hesh is one of those things that is only useful when you have nothing else to use when it comes to the game. Like, Hesh is one of those kind of triggering words for me when it comes to War Thunder, because I've tried to make it work so many times. I've tried in every different instance to try and get that bloody round to work, and it just doesn't. So I don't care if it's buffed. I don't care if it one-shots things. I don't care if you sniff at a target and it just annihilates them. I'm not using it. Screw that round. It's incredibly annoying to play. It's incredibly RNG to play. And whenever I've used it in the past, even like this idea of the glory days of Hesh. When was the glory days of Hesh? When were they? Because I don't remember them. I've been here for a while. I don't remember them. I get told all the time about how, oh, you remember how good Hesh was? No, I don't. I don't remember how good Hesh was. I don't remember a time, like in history, where, oh, Hesh is actually really good. I don't remember that. I remember people donking people with massive shells, which if they were like AP or HE or whatever, they would have killed anything anyway. I know people donking stuff in like, you know, the FV4005 or donking people in the Centurion Mark V, which no matter what Hesh was in it or what round was in it, it would annihilate anything that you faced. I remember those times. I don't remember standard Hesh ever doing anything well. Ever. Like, I have been gaslit about that round way too many times, and I will not be gaslit again. Hey, Salsalator, nice to see you too, 9969791. Hopefully you two are doing well. Hopefully you're all good. We're just doing the tech talk and some of the other stuff. So yeah, I'll have a look at the data mines, see what's going on. It'll be, I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff which will be fun to look at. And whatever they have for the April Fools, I'm sure it'll be fun. Usually, you know, with the constant events now in War Thunder and stuff, there's always, you know, so much to focus on. So, like, I feel like content-wise, if they did like nothing for April Fools, I don't think I'd be too bothered. Like, it would just be fine, you know. So, overall, not too shabby. But yeah, hopefully it all goes good. So then we have Euro Scott. The SP2C is awesome for tasks. Does tech know that you can also run a bomb at the same time as the gun pod in the customizable loadout side? Yeah, I do, actually. You can run like the central bomb probably, right? But the problem I have is it adds the weight to the vehicle, and I don't need weight on the vehicle. What I need is to be able to get to the battle as quick as possible with as least drag as possible. So therefore, I can use it how I use it, which is as a multi-role machine. You know, so it isn't just about having a setup where, you know, you can hit ground targets really well. You also need to get to the battle before everybody else. And since the SB2C for America has been lowered in rank, you are forced to only use the one from... you are forced to use the one which is in the French tech tree, and because you're forced to use the one in the French tech tree, hey presto, you face a lot of American planes. And when you face a lot of American planes, what ends up happening is you just die, because they have a lot of strike aircraft, and a lot of them go for bases, and a lot of them annihilate stuff. So what you have to do as a player is you need to be able to react to everything that's going on. And if I get to the battlefield slower, which is what happens in that setup, what tends to go about is you just get caught before you can get anything. So yeah, it's not really that fun. So yeah, I do know you can bring it, but yeah, there's just not much of a point, at least for me. I visited the German Tank Museum today and took 300 pictures and several videos. You interested in anything? Would like me to visit again and live stream it on your channel? Yeah, we could do something like that. That sounds fun. Chat to Rocker about it first, because he usually does stuff like that. Yeah, that sounds fun. We could do that. Alright, let's see. Yeah, the SB2C is really good. It is kind of boring after a while, but yeah, it's pretty fun. I just wish that nowadays the meta of War Thunder was slightly different than run to the center of the map and hope for the best. So yeah, it just kind of annoys me. So we have Jack Smith. Hey Tech, hope you're alright. Yeah, I'm good. Back to my standard workouts. Actually um ended up getting a little walkie thing in the house. So I have like a stationary bike, I have a rowing machine, and now I have a little treadmill. It's not like a heavy one or anything like that. It's just a standard one that I go on in the morning and just before bed. So yeah, just to get everything moving. Because I was feeling so in the morning, the way that I do stuff is I like wake up, do my stretches, and then go to work and work for like 4 or 5 hours. And I was realizing that in that period of time I was becoming very lethargic and not really doing too much. So now, with going on the treadmill in the morning and then doing the biking later on, it's definitely helped out a lot. So, it basically just gets my stomach going. It actually makes me feel a lot better. So yeah, it's nice. I was having a few issues last week when it came to like pains in several areas, but overall that's fixed now. Don't have to worry about that. So I think it was mainly just stress pains. Like, it's the thing about the dev server, right? Like it isn't really like a mental thing for me anymore, like to get everything done. But there is definitely a physical toll on the body. And that's just because of, it takes a long time to do stuff, so. It isn't, like, the mental focus part I've got down to a T. So now, the way that everything is, it is straight up just trying to, it is straight up just trying to concentrate and get everything done and make it so I'm not tired. Because obviously, you do get tired during these things. So yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff on the dev server this time. Like, just, surprisingly a lot of stuff, actually. A lot of things to focus on and look at. Because usually there's a decent amount, but this time there's just a lot of little intricate things that they're changing this time. And sometimes that happens, Like, sometimes they do that. Like, especially the first update of the year. But yeah, this time there was definitely more stuff going on. But it was good, it was fun. I had a good time. And now, it took me a few days to recover, and now I'm good to go again. So it's just how it goes now. It was nice. Right. Oh, I missed that. And I watched some movie. That one thing about the dev server too is I enjoy it because I get to watch some movies and stuff while rendering. So we watched a lot of like the Oscar movies, right? And we watched a bunch of other stuff, which was super cool. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Been watching you for a while and I appreciate the coverage of everything that goes on in War Thunder. How do you feel about a scouting mechanic for dedicated reconnaissance aircraft in lower ranks, such as the BV-141 and the 189? I've noticed a severe lack of intel on German teams in the mid-ranks compared to teams of US and British, for example. I feel a mechanic revolving around a scouting ability for certain aircraft may fill a battlefield role, not being utilized very well as of right now. It would also warrant the addition of some interesting vehicles that wouldn't fit in the game too well. Hey Hitsu, nice to see you. So personally, I do very much worry about adding vehicles like that, because I like vehicles that can defend themselves, right? So stuff like the Uhu is okay, because it has guns, it has all that stuff going on. I can't remember if the 141 had guns. I don't think it did, right? But at the same time, like there was plenty of vehicles that could be added in like that kind of reconnaissance role that can't defend themselves. I remember with scout helicopters. Scout helicopters was like one of the things that was brought up a lot, like during the time where like people were discussing this idea, like how to add in or how to make these helicopters more useful. And it was like, oh, we'll just give them a scouting mechanic. And it's like, well, that doesn't really... So in a perfect scenario, You have a vehicle that goes there and sits there and is able to kind of scout enemies with like the scouting mechanic and do nothing else. Okay, that doesn't sound great, you know? No, that sounds a little bit rough. Because I remember the times of the Type 93, where the Type 93 as a vehicle, if I had any on my team, that would mean that I just ended up being down like 3 MBTs. and all I get is this little piddly scout, right? That doesn't really do anything. So as long as the vehicles can actually do other tasks, I would be fine with them getting something like that. And what I would do is, you know, like the squadron ping, like this one, I would just make it so certain vehicles, or like the recon ping, right, from the recon drone, just make it so certain vehicles are low tier have access to that mechanic. So they can just ping on the ground and people can see it. It doesn't have to be like an actual scout. It doesn't have to be like anything like that. It could just be a little ping just to let, you know, people know where things are. And that would have worked great, you know. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't do anything too crazy, and then just take the mechanic that's already there and apply it to some other things. Like, why not? You got the KV1 today? Nice. By the way, England just beat Ireland. Hell of a match. I'm gonna have to rewatch it later on, because I've only been watching it, you know, peripherally. But yeah, so I'm okay with it, but the vehicles can't just be vehicles that only scout and do nothing else. We're at 3-3 right now, so. Good morning, Donny B. Nice to see you. I do agree that map awareness is one of the biggest issues at low tier, though. Just people wandering around and wondering what life is. Like, it happens so much nowadays in War Thunder, it's kind of nuts. Like, I mean, you know, you could even take this match where we're doing like the tech talk stuff and, you know, kind of chilling, and there's just people wandering around with their heads cut off. This is the Panzer 3M. You fighting tooth and nail with the A7E? Oh dear. Hey Holy Rune, nice to see you too. Hopefully everything's good. Alright, so then we have High Tech from Lubdub. Hello. For the Jaguar IS event, I've been finishing the Japanese bombers. I'm spading the G5N1 and Key 67s while researching the G8N1. I'm a big fan of bombers, but I find them to be the most frustrating segment of all War Thunder. Whether it's being shot down before I'm halfway to a base, watching a strike aircraft destroy a base as my bombs fall, that's a big one, yeah. Ripping a wing in a desperate attempt to get to bases quickly, or dodge fighters. There's a lot of frustration. I don't think too much about trying to fix the game, I just hit to battle and move on with my day. But counting my score for the event has me thinking about it more. Should we move the bomber spawn over top of the enemy bases and airfield? Invincibility until all bombs are dropped? Aimbot and one-hit kills for AI gunners regardless of turret firing arcs. Bomber players automatically win every game. What's your favorite bomber? I've always enjoyed the jet bombers B-57, Arado 234, IL-28, and the hydroplane bombers. So the Sunderland, the H8K2, the PBY. So the thing is about bombers is, yeah, they don't properly fit in the game, but it's not a fault of the bombers. So one of the biggest problems, with bombers is the simple fact that they are a niche market, right? I just need to text my dad. So they're a niche market, right? Back in the day, it was a bit of an issue because people used to use them to grind, so you'd have whole teams of B-17s versus things. But mostly, if you have a look nowadays, the amount of people playing bombers is very small. And also, with the fact that there is this general idea that things have to constantly expand, you know? Things have to constantly move forward. They have to get better, they have to get bigger, everything has to get grander. what has ended up happening with these things is that you now have a bunch of vehicles which have the same capabilities as bombers, but aren't bombers, and get a better spawn, and are faster, and are more maneuverable, and everything. And this isn't just at, like, standard, like, bomber areas. Oh, I keep forgetting, this thing has a ridiculously busted turret on it. So I have to shoot. Oh no, that didn't even go through. There we go. They have a ridiculously, like, for example, I've been playing the Nesha, right? So I've been trying to play the Nesha. The Nesha, right here. Not here, it's in the Israeli tech tree. The Nesha right here. This is a strike aircraft, right? It's also technically a jet fighter, but it is, in all intents and purposes, designed as a strike aircraft. So it has all of these different things, right? It also has AIM-9Ds and then Gs eventually, which are really nice at 10.0, you know? And eventually I'll just use it as just a fighter when I get some of the mods to make it a bit quicker, because this thing bleeds so much speed in a turn. Using this thing as a strike aircraft, or using it how you're supposed to, is impossible. And the reason for that is because what they've done at the BR of 10.0 and above is they decided that some vehicles need to be what we class as multi-role vehicles, such as the F4s. So the F4s have all of these weapons loadouts, and they're faster than you, and can get to bases first. So you have completely neutered the use of an Escher in favor of a different vehicle. Hey Zol, you're nice to see you. Now the issue with bombers is they've done that all the way through the tech trees now. So there are just better, because of the fact that people constantly complained about how, you know, either bombers couldn't die, or they felt like they didn't have as much of a influence on the battlefield because of, you know, bombers just bombing bases and getting points done and stuff like that. And now we just live in a place where that set of vehicles just really doesn't go anywhere. Ask yourself, when was the last time did they add a new bomber to War Thunder? Not the copy-paste, so not like the IL-28 that they're adding to Hungary, but when was the time they added a new bomber to War Thunder? Does anybody remember what it was? It was probably the MiG-23BN, if you can class that as a bomber. Oh, the Marauder, yeah. The F-111's a strike aircraft, not a bomber. Nice to see you, Abby. Hopefully you're doing good. But yeah, it would be the Marauder, the B-26. Right? Now think about how many strike aircraft and also other aircraft that they've added to the game in that period of time. It's crazy, right? Absolutely nuts. So yeah, the focus has definitely gone away from those things. The last time a bomber got updated was the B-17 when the Israeli tech tree came out. Crazy, right? But yeah, so obviously the focus of the game has gone away from that stuff. And yeah, it isn't that not War Thunder. It isn't that bombers are obsolete though. Like, they can be useful and generally are quite fun. The Lancasters, yeah, maybe. That was like last year or a year before. But yeah, so overall, it's just, it sucks that they're in the position they're at. There isn't a fix for them though. The fix for a lot of these things is untenable. And it's because of the fact that you would have to remove something from the game in order to do it. So these types of thoughts would have had to occur before those things were added. Because the moment you start removing things from the game is the moment people get really annoyed. So yeah, you can't really do that. But yeah, kind of sucks, right? Say la vie though. Like, you know, I mean, as somebody who's spaded pretty much every bomber in the game, you still can do it. And, you know, they're generally not that hard to play as long as you play them, you know, the same way you usually play them. It's just, are they that fun to play? Probably not. You know, they're there are better opportunities afoot, and those Japanese ones are in terrible places, by the way. Absolutely awful vehicles, those. But the main issue that they have is the fact that they were designed for a specific role that also doesn't really work in the game. Hey Alan, nice to see you. Like, you know, they were designed for long-range bombing missions. We do not have long-range bombing missions in War Thunder, and I don't know how you would even put long-range bombing missions in War Thunder. Unless you did like a one-off event where it was like, pilot a B-17 going from Britain over to Germany. And you had to, like, you know, literally go over the whole thing. And I mean, I tell you what, that would have actually been really cool, like, thinking about it. Imagine if, like, when Masters of the Air came out, they just ran an event for a week where you could get, like, a special skin or maybe some camouflages of vehicles which were from Masters of the Air from the 8th Air Force. And what you had to do is you had to actually do their bombing runs. So you had to take off, you know, realistic controls, manage your fuel load. Maybe you could have like 2 people per machine, and you know, you had to survive the battle, and you had to just go over those long distances just to kind of get an idea of what people kind of went through. Now, would a ton of people do that? Probably not. Would it be interesting though and unique and something that other games don't do? Definitely, because you know nobody else is doing stuff like that. Like, to me, that would be fun. So yeah, I think you can make bombers enjoyable, just not in the current game modes the way that there are now, because the focus has gone away from them, and has been away from them for a long, long time now. But I still think it can be possible to have fun in them. Just have to, you know, have a bit of fun with it. So then we have Boss Wolf. Take a look at the US MH60. I believe it had some of those gun features you looked at the dev leaks for. The you mean like the 30mm and the miniguns and stuff like that? Yeah, they're adding like 3 different sets of guns to the Black Hawk or whatever it's called. Like they're adding like some big old boomers and some miniguns and stuff like that. Should be pretty fun. You know, those I don't know if they're adding them to the AH-60, but at the same time, I don't know when you use those in a battle, right? Like, it's another one of those things. It's nice to see them. Do you ever bring them over Hellfires? Like, maybe in some game modes? I don't know. I'd have to play more of, some just to kind of get an idea of what people play, you know? Hey, Darlol, nice to see you. What's the best tank in USSR rank 4? No idea. I'd have to look. I think it's probably something like a T-34, but I don't know. There we go. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff on the dev server which was kind of cool. But as I said, I looked at the more recent data mines. Like, I don't know if there was anything else that was added to the vehicles. Like I saw that Chabby showed a bunch of the camos, that were coming, and a lot of the camos were pretty simple, and most of them were actually trying to make the Hungarian vehicles interesting. So giving them something which is different from the Soviet ones. So giving them either unlockable camouflages or, you know, general things to make them slightly different. Yeah, we'll have a look at the data mines later. So we have SK, good old gunslinger. Have I played the Fox? Yeah, it seemed pretty fun. Just wish they didn't make the APDS rank 4. It's a rude move, that. Means you're going to be worthless for most of the grind. Sesuke says, I can't believe you're bashing the looks of the Bronco. I guess beauty is in the eye of the Bronco holder. Yeah, how about this? How about we have... I'll show you what the OV10 Bronco looks like, and you can tell me what you think of it. I even spelt it wrong. Go. Yeah, so let's just switch to this one. So this is what the OV10 Bronco looks like. It is I mean, it's so disgusting. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's a rank vehicle. Like, it just look at that. Oh my god. They're just, come on. I know there's somebody for everyone and stuff, but that's like a solid like 2 out of 10 at best. 2 out of 10, at least it flies, you know? Like, it's one of those. I saw you put some in support of General 996. I was looking at those earlier. But yeah, it's the Bronco is absolutely disgusting as a vehicle. I think Rocker famously said only the army could make such an ugly plane. So there you go. The good old Bronx. So then we have Goofer. Can you take an updated look at the possibility of a Canadian subtree? I mean, not really. Like, my opinion has stayed the same. Like, you know, I've seen all of those different things. A Canadian subtree makes sense for Britain. It has done for a long time. It just once again, like, it depends on your opinion with individuality or uniqueness. If we have a look at the leaks, if we have a look at the leaks from the dev server, what we see from those is, if they're true, is a working towards a Canadian subtree which does have some unique vehicles. So, nice to see you, Marlo. Hopefully you're doing alright today. Stuff like the Leopard 2A4 can is technically unique, right? It's an upgrade package which is just for the can. Then also you have the SARC Mark 4F, which is specifically a Canadian vehicle. So you're not getting stuff like the Grizzly, you know. You're getting stuff like the Ram 1 and things like that. So they're really making an effort to try and make these things as unique as possible, which is good because, I mean, is anybody like I'm personally hyped for the Hungarian subtree for Italy because it fills a bunch of holes, right? But if you're a veteran player in War Thunder, right, and you've played a lot of War Thunder, do you really get hyped for, hey, look, it's all of the same vehicles that you've known for years, like up to 10 years? Some of these vehicles have been in the game now. Like, do you really go, ooh? Oh yes, let's go. New camo. Like, do I have to grind the same vehicle 5 times over? Which is the case with some of these things, you know? And it's not even, they're different. They're exactly the same. You know, it's not like the Shermans, which do have little intricacies. It is, hey, do you want to grind this IL-28? How about this IL-28? How about this IL-28? Hey, how about this IL-28? You know? They are legitimately the same. Well, even with like the Leos, right? You have a look at the Leo 1, compare it to the A1A1. A1A1's got the stabilizer, got a different round, got a different like turret. Leopard 1A5, you know, thermals, better round once again. And also, you know, slightly different configuration. Leopard 2, big upgrade. You know, massive upgrade on that, how it works. Leopard 2, you know, that's the 2A4. 2A5, increased armor. You know, better round once again. Leopard 2A6, bigger gun. So a lot more penetration. Plays slightly differently and plays, you know, against different people. Let's have a look at the IL-28. So you got the IL-28. Then you got the H5, which is just an IL-28 with a different name. It has exactly the same armament. Then you have the IL-28, which is coming in for Hungary, which is indeed just a copy of the IL-28. So there's no difference between them apart from the markings that they have on them. Like, that's it. And that's the difference, right? Like, it isn't the fact that they even have minute differences. They just don't have any. So, yeah. So, if the Canadian leaks are true, which would be cool, but, you know, who knows? could be, at the end of the day, they're leaks, right? So we don't know when it's going to happen, or we don't know even if it's going to happen. It would be really cool to see him. The Canadian subtree makes sense for Britain, always has done. Whether it's the air one or whether it's the ground one, what makes no sense is an independent tech tree. And I'm glad that those types of calls have kind of disappeared over the last sort of period of time. Because, yeah, independent tech trees like that, I don't think would be very beneficial to the game or beneficial to anybody's mentality. I think it would break people emotionally. I still think they need a Messerspit. I mean, they will get one eventually. That'll just be like a battle pass vehicle, right? M10 Wolverine, goddamn. But yeah, like you have... It's like the Shilka, right? Like, okay. So do you want to play the Shilka? Okay? Or do you want to play the Shilka? Or do you want to play the Shilka? Or how about the ZSU 57 too? Do you want to play the ZSU 57 too? Or, where is it? The ZSU 57 too? Or, hey, guess what? The ZSU 57 too? Or do you want to play the WZ, which is actually slightly different and very cool and fun, right? This one. Or do you want the ZSU 57 too? Like, it gets boring. Like, it gets very, very dull over time playing the same stuff over and over again. Yeah, all the Magacs, yeah. At least the Magacs have little differences. But yeah, not compared to... They have little differences compared to like the ZSU 57-2s, you know. So we have Alex, Andre Odad. Hi Tech, hello. Would you think they will add submarines to the game? Yes. Also, I feel like the French tech tree is in a bad state right now. Sure, it's better than before, but between overBR tanks and whenever a French tank has more than 50% win rate, it gets nerfed, making it even less welcoming for new and confirmed players. If a tank has a greater than 50% win rate, it should be nerfed, because the idea is you want to get everything to 50% win rate to create a fully balanced game. So if a vehicle is actually lower than 50% win rate, it should be buffed, right? So that's just balancing. That's fine. I don't anymore. Well, since a few weeks ago, I do not take any French complaining at all. It is not allowed to exist anymore. French players in general are quite whiny, unfortunately. They shouldn't be, because they have a bunch of very fun vehicles and have had the luxury of years and years and years of having some of the most busted vehicles in the game for many BR brackets, including all of the autoloaders, and also stuff like the Mirage 3E and the Mirage F1C being incredibly good. They are also getting massive buffs when it comes to their missiles, and when it comes to many of their other mechanics that are coming in next updates, right? And they also have a wonderful thing, which is uniqueness, which a lot of other nations don't have. So for me, for French stuff in that regard, I have no interest in the complaints of the French tech tree, because unfortunately, over the years, what I've found is a lot of people who play France complain about things that don't even make sense to complain about. This includes vehicles underperforming. This includes vehicles not being as good as they actually are, even though they are. And also just weird ideas of what should and shouldn't be added to the game. So it's unfortunately, it's just in kind of that state. So yeah, you would want things to be at 50% win rate, right? You would want things to be balanced. If you are a person who is just using vehicles which are really powerful and you don't want them to be nerfed, that's completely fine. you have just labeled every single person who ever talks about these discussions, pretty much ever. Everybody has a vested interest in what they play. They don't see any of the other sides of the coins that are around the place, and they just complain about the fact that they are being targeted, and that it is unfair, and that they shouldn't have to deal with this. Why don't we just let France have a 55% win rate? Just overall. Why not? How about just everything have a 51% win rate? Yeah? Why would that be bad? For several reasons. But, you know, doesn't really matter. So yeah, the main thing I'm trying to get out of it is, if you want to actually get people interested in the tech tree, number one is you actually buff rank 1 and make it better. There are plenty of people who play the French tech tree, and I'm bored of the whining about it, because it's a very good tech tree, and I've been singing its praises for many years, and will continuously do so until it's realized how good many of the vehicles are. Many of the vehicles deserve the BRs that they have, right? And it's because they are... It isn't because somehow, like, everybody who's born in France is just a master at War Thunder. Okay? It isn't because, you know, they are just born with a keyboard in their hand, and... Or, you know, they're just amazing at everything. And everybody who plays France is touched by Louis the bloody 12th or the 15th or however many Louis there were. It's because of the fact that vehicles are good. And that should be celebrated. And that should be enjoyed. And when they go up in BR, it can be like, oh, it turns out people are doing well in these vehicles. They must be enjoying them and having fun. Isn't that awesome? But no, instead it's, why do you nerf me? Why do you hurt me like this? Maybe just enjoy it, man. Don't worry about these things. I didn't get the coupon for this one, Donnie. But, you know, obviously the dev server got in the way. So yeah, like, of course they'll add submarines in the game. They added them into War Thunder Mobile. And they did the test for submarines last year. The test for submarines made them really weak, though, which was kind of odd. Like, they weren't very fun to play. But they basically like they basically said, okay, so we're gonna massively limit your capabilities. And then also what we're gonna do, right? Also what we're gonna do, we're going to what we're going to do is we're going to put you up against the thing that is designed to counter you. So yeah, it was a little bit rough, that. But yeah, the distance of the torpedoes was poor, the speed of them, you know, the fact that you could see, like, submarines through the water with planes, the fact that even if you went to the lowest depth, you were still very, very loud, and could be seen from miles away. It really was, you know, very rough. Right. So yeah, they'll get in the game. Then we have Mab. What's your stance on experimental vehicles or protos that were built but never entered service? E.g. the F-20, half-built, e.g. the Krangwagen, the E-100. The F-20 is not half-built, it was a fully functional plane. E-100 or Krangwagen / wooden mock-ups. The E-100 was not a wooden mock-up, like the Krangwagen wasn't a wooden mock-up either. Hori built and tested but no weapons installed. The Hori production was never built. We're all over the place with these ones. Tech demos, e.g. Yak-141, Su-37, Su-47. And then proposed vehicles, F-16AJ, blueprint only. You mean like where do I stand on what level of fakery am I okay with? Like, is that the basic stance or the basic idea? I personally am fine if the vehicle was tested on Japan's soil, but I don't think it did. So I don't like the F-16AJ implementation. However, the Pattern 2 was tested, so I'm fine with that. I'm a military vehicle enthusiast, so I enjoy anything mentioned above. Well, why are you saying the F-20 was half built then? War Thunder used to be a game for historical true vehicles that entered service, but then they saw that protos are also good to add, so they initially were added as premiums or events. But now as the game evolved, it's natural to see protos added in the standard tree and full-scale production added as event or premiums for some reason or to fill out for events. Now War Thunder is a game that is becoming... Let's drop this guy off. War Thunder is a game that is becoming every vehicle in life that was ever conceived, plus any nation that exists with a proper military to become sub-trees or independent trees type of vehicle military game. Yeah, and it was always going to be that. You know, it was always that as well. I don't... This idea of everything being historical even from the start is a lie. I don't know... I don't know where this idea comes from. It's kind of like the whole, like, oh, well, it started off as a World War II game thing. Even though, in its earliest conception, it literally had sabers in it. So, the R2Y2 was added in Update 1.43, which was from the 9th of October, 2014. So, and I believe the game... Wasn't the game released for... kind of like at least open beta in like mid-2013. So it took like 6 months to add the R2Y2. They said from the start, like, vehicles, you know, didn't have to be like real or the main thing you have to understand is all that matters is there a balancing thing there, and does it need to be added for that? You can have a look at the F-16AJ and their like reason for adding it, and that is, you could just say that for everything. Like, why is this in this tech tree in this spot? Because the tech tree needs it, because if it didn't have it, then there wouldn't be another option, right? Well, yeah, the Panther 2, the Tiger 2 105, you know, all of those things. Like, the place where I sit on it is right, okay, personal opinion versus like... let's say personal opinion versus what I think is good for the game, because those are like two very different things. My personal opinion is I frankly massively dislike these types of vehicles. I massively dislike adding vehicles in which do not have their proper statistics, were not tested, and do not follow the standard testing structure of many different nations. And the reason for this is pretty simple. In the past, in War Thunder, some of the most busted vehicles in the game have been ones which have been these fake vehicles. The J6K1, the Kronstadt, even stuff like the R2Y2 from back in the day, which was broken for years. It was incredibly powerful. Even some other like lesser extent vehicles which were similar to this. So from a balancing perspective, they've been a nightmare. And also, the other thing is, from a conversation perspective, they've drilled a hole in my head the size of maybe about, I don't know, 15 centimeters in diameter, where every day for the past 10 years, somebody has bored into my head, what do you think about this vehicle? What do you think of this vehicle? Do you think this nation should be added? Do you know what the Kranwagen is? Do you like the Kranwagen? Hey, did you know the Kranwagen has like a 2-second reload? And then I have to have the same conversations over and over and over again about all of these different things and what the history behind them actually is. And then what happens is the next day you do it all over and over again, right? Like it's a never-ending cycle, and it becomes tiring. I wish from the start what they'd actually done is put down in the sand, okay, these are the criteria for what we're adding to the game. And I mean proper criteria that doesn't bend. because obviously a lot of their stuff has bent over the years, like with what they've added and what they've moved around. But the idea that, you know, they were even from the beginning just a historical thing is not the case. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. So let's see if I can find it actually, while we're here, just so I can show you what was kind of proposed in 2014, and this was made by Gaijin themselves. Okay, so this isn't a community made thing. I just need to find it. Here it is. Is this a proper setup? I don't know if this will actually go well. Yeah, so back in, I think it was like 2014 or 2015, Gaijin produced like these tech trees, which were like, oh, hey guys, nice to see you. These are things that we're thinking of adding to the game. So you can see here the HE, or the white ones are the ones that were already, I think they were already in. Oh no, the gold ones were the ones that were already in. Okay, or something like that.
Hello.
And the other ones were the ones that they were wanting to add. So let's have a look at this list. So this was from the early days of War Thunder. This was like what they were working on and what they were working towards. Look how many BF-110 variants, by the way. Are you mental? But anyway. If we go down the list, you can see all of the standard captured vehicles. That was going to be like kind of what they focused on. You got an ME-262, TAR 183, BV-215, right? All of these different stuff. You got 4 Ju-88Ps for God's sake in this, and the Ju-188, Ju-188Es. What you'll find from this list of vehicles is if you go through it, you will see these, right? Now, as I said, every nation had these tech trees. So if you were there back in the day, you remember these things. And these were like, hey, so these are the things we're kind of working on, we're thinking of adding, right? ME-262 HG3. The HG3 is a vehicle which is a complete paper design, right? And these tech trees, by the way, they exist for every different nation, right, that were around at the time. I think there was maybe 4 or 5 nations in the game at the time. So you can find them for like every one of the nations from back in the day. I would just have to, it would take a while to have a look at them or find them, but you get the idea, right? Like there's a bunch of different stuff here. Here's the Japanese one, if I can get it. So yeah, the idea from all of these vehicles is, even back then, you know, when supposedly they had this idea, it wasn't actually there. It didn't exist in the way that you thought it did. And people just misremember these things constantly. That's why I've always said the idea of what they add or what they don't add is not down to the idea of what they add or what they don't add is not down to the fact that they are, you know, they're fully historical vehicles. It is the simple fact that they were there, or they fit the game better. You can see here, high-speed bombers, R2Y1, R2Y2. We still don't have the R2Y1, by the way. JN1, G4M3, good old B7s, J7W2. Not just the J7W1, J8N1, A7M3J, whatever the hell that is. A6M8. And then you have all of the Air Force stuff, you know, that's there too. E201, I have no idea what that is. So yeah, the idea of, you know, like back in the day, that's not what it was like. It was. Just people seem to just forget about it. I don't know why. But yeah, so my personal opinion is I really don't like these things because of the conversations that they create, and also the fact that they're usually pretty imbalanced. From Gaijin's point of view, though, they're going to keep adding them because you need unique content. And also at the same time, there's a lot of people who are interested in this stuff. And if they don't balance it correctly, that's fine, because they can just move around its BR. But I really don't like the idea of adding a bunch of vehicles, right? A bunch of vehicles to the game, which are just fundamentally broken in different ways. Because of things that could never have worked in real life, but were proposed to work. So one of my favorite things to do is Soviets, the Russians, 1943-42 to about 1952. So if you want a lovely part of history, and if you want to go and read about a fantastic area, go and have a look at Soviet prototypes/designs of planes between those periods of time, or even before then, right? So just go have a look at that period of time, right? And you'll keep running into the same stories over and over again. And this didn't just happen with the Soviets, by the way. It's really, really obvious with the Soviets. So like it's just the easiest one to show. You'll find a ton of proposed ideas, or even built, wind tunnel tested stuff, or just, things which even got to a prototype stage, where if you have a look at what was proposed on the vehicle itself, and what I mean by proposed is how fast it would go, how maneuverable it would be, how much it would be able to carry, all of these things. If you have a look at all of those, they are wildly off the actual real statistics of the vehicle, when it was even put through the slight amount of testing. And how a lot of prototypes specifically, or proposed projects, didn't get built not because they couldn't work, but because of either efficiency reasons or, financial reasons. Or the fact that they just wouldn't work in a modern battlefield when they were being produced. E.g. like the PVKVs or something like that, right? So you have this kind of world of prototypes, but not just prototypes, but proposed and paper vehicles and all this stuff, which espouse all of these things that they can do. But in reality, they just wouldn't have been able to do that, because of the limiting factors that a bunch of other vehicles had to go through. And that sucks, because in game, you can't really deal with that stuff, right? You kind of get nuked, because you just have to add these better vehicles in, and there's nothing you can do about it. Luckily, we have the BR system in War Thunder, so it makes it a little bit easier, but it's still not good, because then you just have constant discussions about, well, should it be able to do this? Should it be able to do that? Well, and you're always going to have the hardliners who want the vehicle buffed because they like playing it, to point towards the scripture about the vehicle. Because at the end of the day, it is a fantasy vehicle. And then you're just going to have the other people who turn around and go, well, it's kind of busted though, or it doesn't really work too well. But that doesn't matter to the other people. So yeah, it's a pain in the ass. But what are Gaijin going to do? They're going to add stuff that they think balances the game for each nation. That's all that matters. That's rule number one. All of the other rules, no matter how harsh they are, or no matter where they are void to that rule. Right? Simple as. What makes a fun experience that will mean that people enjoy it, and also at the same time spend money on a product? Right? And how far can you push the line either way? That's it. Nothing else. If there's an explosion of Swedish players and they all appear overnight, and they're all playing the whole Swedish tech tree, but they're all complaining about not being able to get through mid-tiers because it's rough. Hey presto, you're going to get a mid-tier Swedish premium. And the thing is, you don't even need to complain about it. You don't even need to type on the internet, right? Because they have stats out of all of their orifices, which all tell you all of the things that you care about anyway. So they know more about you. They know more about you than what your mouth knows about you and how you work. Okay? That's just how it goes. They know everything about you. and your mouth lies compared to your brain, which happens a lot. But yeah, that's about it. General thoughts, as usual. So we have Sent Sam. Greetings again, Tech. Greetings. As per usual, appreciate your work and keep it up. We'll keep clicking, we'll keep cracking, clacking and backing. And yeah, the dev season went pretty well. Looking forward to the next event. Should be alright. Looking happy that the happy that the Jaguar event went alright, and you know, now we're into the other one. You mentioned the Canberra bombers recently, and I've been playing them to spade them, so I'd like to spitball with you a bit about them if you don't mind. Sure. I do generally agree with your assessment about them not being in a real great place, but in relation to BR currently in RRB, particularly the B-57A Mark II, definitely not an exciting experience. You think putting those two down to 8.0 would be a good idea? The B-57B is serviceable in the M39 cannon mod, but the wing mounts muck up the shell spread, which bad really sucks. But that one Mark VI can be cracked, absolute wolf in sheep's clothing. Cracked maneuverability, good acceleration, workable energy retention and roll rate, and then centrally mounted disparos with 2,000 rounds. There we go. With an air spawn, yeah, they're pretty good. How that fat bus dogfights the way it can is hysterical. Can pretty much guarantee winning the majority of 1v1 knife fights. The Brits were cooking with this thing. Using it like an opportunistic fighter, an interceptor like Her Majesty intended, has made spading it so satisfying. Makes me want to see the Canberra Mark 8 get added. I suspect why I did so well with it though is because the MM puts UK against US teams a lot, which at that BR really makes a difference to win rates. Anyway, what was your experience with the Canberra Mark 6? Like it, enjoy it, or hate it? I spaded it so long ago, like literally so many years ago. Hey, my wife is a fanboy, nice to see you. I ended up spading it an incredibly long time ago. So my experience with it was back in the day when they just added it, where it was the fastest thing in the... Yeah, I'm going to do the 9-star, Aaron. I'm just doing the pages of history. My experience with spading it is it was the fastest thing in the game. So I could just bomb bases and then not do anything else. So I didn't really have to worry about fighting anything. So in order to spade them, hey, your local meme, nice to see you. I ended up literally just, you know, bombing bases and leaving. From a dogfighting perspective, it's probably pretty fun. Like those types of vehicles, as long as they have a you know, an air, as long as they have a what you call it, as long as they have air superiority, meaning that, sorry, you're higher altitude than the other, you can actually work really well in it. But if you're not, then, you know, it's a little bit harder to go. I think in general, with those types of vehicles though, the major issue I have with them is I just don't really find them too fun to play. I wouldn't want to put them down in BR because they cause what, you know, we've talked about previously. The jet bomber thing is odd, right? Because you get a bunch of these jet bombers which are really fast, hit the bases, and then can't be killed, right? And it's a lesser of two evils kind of thing. What is better? A machine? What is better? A machine which you are able to kind of hit stuff with, and then actually have to kind of fight with, or a machine that hits stuff and then just disappears from the battlefield. It's why I really have a problem with the F-104 just as a vehicle. The F-104 is a mess right now. The early F-104s. It isn't fun. It isn't enjoyable. Because whenever you face them, you can't kill them. And when you're playing them, you're just invincible the vast majority of the time. But because of that, a lot of the people who play them don't have brains, right? The brains have just left the building. So it really is a this vehicle is so easy to use that it is leading people to lose their brains, and therefore it is getting to a point where it is so dumb to play that whoever even has like two brain cells is able to just annihilate people with it. And if you have one team which has four of them, and you have another team which has nothing like it, which is what happens in the majority of matches, it hurts. So with those bombers, even though they're in a bit of a rough place in terms of, getting shot down and annihilated, I'm kind of fine with that happening, because the opposite is they just, you can't really do anything against them. So it sucks, and I wish it was better that, we could have more of a balanced setup for stuff like that, but unfortunately you can't. Yeah, an F-84 with a ground spawn, because remember, only the American F-84 gets a air spawn, and then an F-104. We had a match the other day on this city map, where the whole of the enemy team was on our side of the city before we'd even got to it. And that was because we were facing 9-3 America. It was crazy. Not really a lot you can do in that scenario. But yeah, so it's kind of a necessary evil that those things are at the BRs that they're at, because you don't want stuff like that going up against 6-7s. The 6-7 bracket is already annihilated, and yeah, it just wouldn't be very fun. Not an enjoyable experience. Eros Premier, nice to see you. Which German rank 6 jet should I get? You know which one is the best out of them all? I have no idea. I don't know what is a rank 6 German jet. So we have Rafa Has. Hey TEC, Red Dreadnought here. Hope you're having a good time. I want to say a few things. Sure. One, about the bloating. It's usually due to weather, specifically air pressure. Eating protein-rich foods and less carbs help with the weather is stormy and bad. No, it wasn't the weather. It was the fact that I'd changed the milk that I drink. I changed the milk that I drink, and also I was doing some kefir stuff. So yeah, the weather was the same. So yeah, it was straight up, standard. Change something in the diet, it had a negative effect. Now I'm away from that thing, and now, hey, guess it's much better now. So yeah, it was just it was whatever was in my stomach was reacting badly with a diet change. So I still need to get some kefir stuff in, or stuff like that. So I have to think about how to do it. Maybe like a bit of yogurt with like cereal or something. But yeah, that's basically what it was. 2, about the new nations. I also think adding more individual nations is a bad idea. About Poland and Korea and Turkey, I think those 3 countries could be one tech tree. Turkey and Poland are NATO countries, and both of them have very tight relations with Korean defense companies. The Turkish MBT Alte is going to use a Korean engine on the first batch of 250, for example. And Poland buys the MLRS and MBTs from Korea directly, so I think that would make sense. Fair enough. So for me, whenever it comes to like independent tech tree planning, my thing is pretty simple. Since the world is pretty interconnected right now, you can find a reason or several reasons to add any nation to any other nation, whether positive or negative, right? So when I think about combining nations together in an independent tech tree, the main thing that I'm focused on is not their political ties or not their reasoning for being together. The main thing that goes through my head every time is just straight up, okay, would these nations together make fun lineups for people to play? Thank you for the Prime subscription, Yemleo. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Like, will things like that be fun to play? Right? Nothing else like really dings in my head. And because we have, we have some kind of odd additions to different stuff. So it's just that. So from a design perspective, or from just a new tech tree perspective, that's the only thing that goes through my head. What vehicles can we add? Are they similar BR brackets? Would it be fun? And we'll think about the rest later on. Simple as. So we have TT Flap, beardless, reveal when. I mean, I shave every few months, like proper full-on shave. So, that happens. So, it's just kind of how it is. Thank you for the Prime subscription, your local meme. Thank you for supporting the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much. So yeah, like during basically at the start of the winter and usually at the start of the summer, I do like a full shave because I don't actually like shaving this bit. So like the actual like this part, I prefer like just shaving this, and then this, and then like later on, when this bit gets too long, I just shave it all off and then go again. Because I haven't found a trimmer which I'm like fully happy with in that way. So yeah, it's generally like if you go to like I think I've done like, well, I mean I've definitely done a lot of streams and a lot of stuff like that without a beard. But yeah, it's just how it is. Have I been playing Helldivers? I haven't, no, but I'll probably play it at some point. It looks pretty fun. What do I think about that, Zoya? I'd like for Yugoslavia to get added and then rank 8 straight up to Serbia. I mean, I'd rather they were put in a different tech tree, but, those types of vehicles, there's a bunch of them which, are either getting worked on or already, so you'll see them at some point. It won't be too far off. Alright, we are close to the Pskov operation, which is good. So we have Maxol. Hello Tech, I'd like to give you a challenge. I've been trying to spade the ISU 122S recently, and because my PC is a potato, it only runs the game on your queue at about 10 or 12 FPS. Well, that's rough. Is there a way you would like to talk to yourself in the way only someone with no self-worth like me would? No, not really. I don't. My brain don't really think like that. Like the. For me, I'm always looking to try and improve, like how at least I see stuff or how I'm moving around stuff. If I see things that I feel are bad, I try and make them better, even if it is in little ways. Like it improves. It's better to improve instead of stay stagnant and depressed. I don't know. Usually when it comes to this stuff, like it's just have a wank and go to bed, and then start reading a few pages of a book every day and eat. There you go. Usually a better way of doing things. Natural patterns. Yeah. It's usually the best way of doing stuff. I think overall it's one of those it's usually better to have a bit of self-confidence, Good day, Lucky Strike, nice to see you. I don't know what the M84 AS1 is or the AS2, no. I've definitely, is it the Oplot, the M84? Hey, so, there you go. Do I have any general advice for 12-7 ARB? No, not really. I was playing 12-0 a decent amount, but it was just a mess, so... Like, yeah, I'd have to play more to give precise opinions. Then we have Islam Ziad. Hey Tech, I've evolved from suffering in the J34 to the Draken. What do you think of the Draken? I think it's a really cool plane. I just wish I had countermeasures. Like, pretty much as simple as that. I've always really enjoyed Delta Wing aircraft, right? Hey Big Boom, nice to see you. I've always enjoyed Delta Wing aircraft around the place. I think overall they're pretty fun to play. I've had a great time in the Mirage 3s. I've had a great time in the Mirage 5s and many other stuff. I'm looking forward to playing the J35D, but it's got the worst missiles in my opinion. I've really gone off the AIM-9Js over the last period of time. They maneuver well, but their motor is not good enough, and it sucks. Because if you're in something like a J35, you need to be a little bit more standoffish, just because of the fact that you're gonna have issues with other missiles, right? So it would be better if it actually had other missiles like Ds or Gs. This weekend you worked 6-7? God damn. Hopefully you're alright now. So yeah, I'm gonna be I spaded the A32A recently. It wasn't that bad. Like, it was okay. And then I'll be spading the Draken at some point. With the one that I'm trying to get done is the bloody Hunter. But oh my god, it's just pain, man. It's just actual pain, that. That one is a terrible vehicle. I don't know how I penned that. Like that one is really rough in every sense of the word. Like that is an existential pain. But I think the Draken will be fun once we get the engine upgrade on it. It just needs a bit of help in that way. So then we have Type 10. Hey Tech, seeing how Japan does not have nearly as many vehicles to add as other nations worries you. Is the TU4 worth using for China? It looks cool, but I haven't gotten there yet. The TU4? It can be okay, but its matchmaking's not great. It's been nice the past month playing a racing game as a break from War Thunder, always getting podiums. Which game have you been playing? Finally a Type 90 premium, but I already have a Type 90, so it's kind of not worth the buy. But it's nice for others to grind Japan. I'm finally giving bombers a try. Most of the time I'm just on my phone. Amazing, of course. I'm looking just to check my surroundings, though. But I do like trying to survive with my gunners, even though props can just delete bombers easily. The Calliope confuses me with its price. It's just a showman with rockets, but that's War Thunder as we know. That's all. Have a nice day. Yeah, bombers, if you don't follow the standard method for bombers, then it can be pretty rough. They generally don't have a great time. The Type 90 premium is, you know, I mean, I'm not huge about people buying themselves into top tier, but it's just... I don't like to use, you know, statements from the past, but it literally is, well, you know, it's current year, and that's just how everything's been going with good old War Thunder. It's much easier just to purchase something and go instead of grind nowadays, which sucks, but seems like people are resonant with it. Fuel tank. Oh no. But yeah, I wouldn't say the TU4 is fun to play, because you go up against a lot of jets, and those jets are able to just do a ton of damage to you and just annihilate you as you go, so not really that enjoyable, that one. There are much better vehicles around the place. I don't know if the H5 is grounded or not though, so maybe that one would be in a rough situation. Like, I'm not sure. I have to have a look. Yeah, the SK60B, exactly. Same BR or whatever. Crazy. But yeah. I've always found it funny that rocket tanks and stuff are so expensive compared to the others. Because, I mean, back in the day, like, I kind of got it because they were pretty busted because of how much damage the rockets would do. But nowadays, it's just kind of a novelty, so it doesn't really matter that much. Oh, I shot down the wrong line. Jesus. We got him in the end, though. So we have MJ. Hello, Professor Tech. How was your week? Pretty good. Can't complain. You know, back on the proper gym sessions. Eating's been good. I think we've recovered from last week. Is probably the way to put it. Do have still, you know, a few different things to do next week, which is kind of annoying. You know, I've been trying to get a bunch of stuff sorted, but it seems like every week now there's just something new that I have to focus on. So it's been quite hard to kind of just chill and do my own stuff, but at the same time, it's not like a negative thing. You know, everything's running really well. It's just the fact that there's just more stuff to focus on right now, and that's okay. Like, we live, laugh, learn, laugh, love. It's just... There we go. I agree with you. Gadget needs to bring back the Panther 2 and the Tiger 2 105. We already have examples in the game of non-built vehicles. For the example, the R2Y2. So bringing back those removed German tanks shouldn't cause any issue. Also, isn't the 128-88 APHE Saber round the mouse has in game completely fictional? No, I don't think it is fictional. I'd have to look though. I can't remember entirely, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But yeah, the simple fact is the reason they took out those vehicles was because they were ahistorical. And also because they said that they had vehicles to replace them with. The vehicles indeed were not good replacements. They didn't work. They were never going to work, but yeah. Now, on top of that, you also have a situation. Ooh. You also have a situation where other nations have now got stuff added to them, specifically that are fake, that are known to be fake, and are acknowledged to be fake, for balance purposes. So, the only reason to not bring those vehicles back is if you either think they unbalance the game, or they're not needed in the lineups to balance the game. If we're going to use that kind of setup. And, I mean, if that's the thought, fair enough. You know, if you want to go ahead with that. But the problem with it is, you know, you're never going to get people off your back now because of it. Or what they'll do, as I said, in the future, is they'll do an update fiction, or update paper, or update mache. And what they'll do in it is they'll have a bunch of vehicles. Oh dear. That killed me. They'll have a bunch of vehicles in it that that will have, you know, just be fake vehicles, and then they'll bring in those, you know. So I would be very surprised if there wasn't part of the plan that they have right now, which is just straight up, okay, we will bring these back, but we're just not going to talk about it until we bring them back. And they'll label it as a, we've listened to you, the community. We didn't make a mistake removing them, but here they are again. They're back for you. For 1 month only. And they'll disappear again. Just like the mouse does. Hey, El Diablo Rosso, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. They won't bring back the 100 unless it's for a tournament thing. Then we have Pragun Kumar. Namaste TEC, only person playing War Thunder in India as I know of. Oh, I know a few War Thunder Indians. You know, there's a few of them around, which is cool. The Indian tech will be mostly copy-paste, starting from America, early British, mid, and Russia. Like the Nag SPAA and the Bobby of the BMP-2. With the Matilda Hedgehog-style missile. What are your opinions on an Indian tech tree? I think an Indian tech tree would be incredibly weak, and I think what they're doing right now is working out whether they want to add in an Indian sub-tech tree or not. So, if you haven't noticed, they're doing exactly the same thing that they did with the Israelis to the British with the Indian tech tree. And they've also done it with a bunch of other nations too, but this one is the main one. So what you do is you have a bunch of vehicles which are kind of similar to other nations' vehicles. You bring them in as event vehicles, or you bring them in as, you know, interesting premiums. Then what you do is you see how much attention they garner, and if they garner enough attention, then you make it its own independent tree. If they don't garner as much attention, then what you do is you make it a sub-tech tree, and if they garner no attention, then what you end up doing is scrapping the whole thing and just keeping them for random events in the future for specific vehicles, right? So that's what you do. So right now we're in that phase of data collection. How many people are interested in the Bhishma? How many people are interested in the vehicles that are usually seen as Indian? Can we add some more like camouflages to the vehicles which, you know, people would be interested in? How much social media presence is there in India when it comes to War Thunder? How many people are in India? How much spending power do they have? You know, are there other people who are interested in India in different places that also play War Thunder? You know, immigrants or second or third generation immigrants from different places. Do they have expendable income? Do they have national pride in the vehicles that they play, or the vehicles that are there? Do they ask for these things? Right? What is the general interest? And that's what, you know, you kind of have to look for. And that's what they're doing right now with stuff like the Jaguar IS, stuff like the Bhishma, stuff like a few others. And then, yeah, depending on the results of this in like a year or two's time, you'll see either a sub-tech tree, an independent tree, or just random more Indian vehicles. The tell will be pretty quick, and it will be whether low-tier or mid-tier vehicles start being used as premium vehicles or event vehicles. Because one of the things that so far they haven't done with any nation, apart from the Hungarians and the Romanians, which were already confirmed that they were going to be sub-tech trees, even when Italy was like in its infancy, was stuff like the Toldies, right, and things like that. So yeah, that's what matters the most from those types of looks. So we'll have to see what goes on. I think I think an Indian sub-tech tree would be fantastic. I think it would be a lovely addition to the game for whoever they decide to add it. I would hope Britain. I understand the whole like ties and all that stuff, but I think it would be the best, especially with the combined histories and also the combined technology. So yeah, that would be nice to see. There we go. Let's take out the gunner. But yeah, it would be kind of cool. I think in general we would benefit from these things being in the game. It would be really nice to turn up. An independent tech tree though, not really that interested personally. A sub-tech tree would be fantastic though. It would be lovely to see. And also we already have the Indian voice lines, so if you think they would have gone to all that work with the voice lines and stuff, and they're not going to add in more Indian vehicles? The only Lilin once again. The only Len, I should say. Good day, Tech. Good day. Just need to get this out of the way because it ruined my week. Oh dear. Grinding Sweden tree, rank 1, great. Magnificent even. Then it went so down low to rank 2. It's the first time in years I got furious over Pixel Game. Not even Elden Ring did that. There's 3 tanks with 37mm, stock AP, had my eyes wide open on how absurdly bad it was. Spoiled less than APDS, pen was atrocious, it was consistent thing that I had to fire 610 AP to kill anything. Yep, sucks, doesn't it? I can't see the guy here. I wish this was a joke. So many bounces. So many non-pens, so many yellow crews. So little kills and assists, because I can't even break a module. I'm going mad. Well, I said, didn't I? Like, you know, if you have a look at, like, Sweden and how it's set up, the Swedish rank 1 and 2 is pretty weak. Rank 2 is pretty rough for a lot of it. And the only reason it ever gets bailed out, or at least the rank 1 gets bailed out, is because it doesn't take too long to actually grind a lot of the modules. Rank 2 is awful though. Oh, we bombed the bow fighter. There you go. So yeah, it's in a pretty rough place overall, that one. So it's not really that fun. And I would say that in general, it's better to, you know, kind of play other things or just persevere to get through it, right? Which is the big one. Anyways, a little snippet of my backstory. World of Tanks Blitz, mobile version of World of Tanks PC. It was the game that got me hooked on tanks. 3K hours over 6 years. Still going strong for 8 years, and the game's great because no artillery, and it's quick arcadey tank brawls. Fortunate enough that I ripped myself from the game. Something sunk cost fallacy, and yeah. More next week, and thanks as always. That's all good. Thank you for the thoughts. I think that's really cool to see. AMMEM, nice to see you. Yeah, we're doing the tech talk. We're getting it done. Yeah, it's actually been really cool to see how, you know, I feel like back in the day, and I don't know why, there was a lot of animosity between different kind of games, and it might just be once again the silly social media stuff, but like most people didn't probably even care about the different ones. But nowadays it's been kind of nice to see there's a lot of people who play a bunch of the different stuff and try a bunch of different things, right? It's really cool, and I'm hoping that, as you know, in the future people can enjoy more things and have a better time with stuff and just kind of enjoy it. And with things like, you know, World of Tanks Blitz, or just generally World of Tanks giving very different experiences than War Thunder, it's good to enjoy a bunch of different stuff. But the Swedish stuff is rough, man, and it really is a baptism of fire. You know how in the French tech tree we talk about like rank 1 being bad? Well, Sweden, like, the vehicles are okay, it's just they're very modification reliant, so that is just a pain, in complete pain for the vehicle itself. So not very fun at all to try and set up. So yeah, well done for getting through it. I promise you it does get better. It does get a lot better than it was previously. You'll get through it. Then we have White Falcon. Tiger Shark, it's a fish. I can't wait to get rotated by some idiot tapping my wing, getting me into a low spiral, crashing into the ground. Fair enough. The good old Tiger Shark, F20. Ooh. Don't get it? I find Swedish low tier marvelous. Try and play it without the APDS. We only needed, like, I think it was 100 or something for this, and we ended up getting 7,000. So there you go. Like, so with Sweden, right? Any gun that is this 37mm, including the Largo, right? Play it and don't use this round. Hey, Ghost, nice to see you. America, Germany, or China? Hey, Nurgle, nice to see you too. Like, at 2.7, so you can go up against KV1s, you have 59 millimeters of pen. Can you make it work? Sure. Should you? No. So yeah, that's the reason why people struggle with these things. And then also that it doesn't even get, like, the APDS. It pens 85 millimeters, right? So yeah, that's why. Then we have Euros Minchich, something like that. What do you think about Yugoslavia in the game? There's a Yugoslav flagging game. They can add ships, tanks, planes, and helicopters for tech to, right? I was trying to come up with something witty, but I'd rather just put a gun to my head. When it comes to all of these different tech trees, they should be added as sub-tech trees. I personally think they should add Yugoslavia into the game as a sub-tech tree for the USSR, so I can just sit here and laugh for years and years and years, and just continue laughing over and over and over and over again. And then what they do is they take all of those vehicles that are in the USSR, then they put them in the American tech tree, and then I can just laugh again. You may have realized I really, like, it doesn't matter to me, right? It doesn't, like, I get it that a lot of these nations are very dear to people's hearts because it's the regions that they're from, okay? Which is where a lot of this stuff comes from. And the regions which have higher populations and higher player bases are usually louder than the other ones because there's more people. Right? It is how it is. But at the end of the day, these regions don't offer anything that is that interesting compared to other places. So it'd be much better just to add them into the game as sub-tech trees for other nations. No matter which nation they go in. So you suggest playing China or Germany or US for new players? Yes. So yeah, simple as, really. We talked about before how there is already like 4 Shilkas in the game, 5 ZSU 57-2s, there's millions of, you know, M48 Magax, M60s. The major problem at the moment you're going to have in War Thunder is people getting bored and not wanting to play any of this stuff. And that's already happening, so another tech tree with the same stuff again will not make people happy. Especially if it's just for a flag of a country that doesn't exist anymore. That had a very, very violent separation that the shocks are still felt today by many people. Seems like a bad idea. I don't know. Who am I? At the end of the day, they'll do whatever's best for business. So we have Polish. Hello, Tech. Hope you're doing great. Yeah, I'm doing all right. I just feel like we're doing the same questions again. Unfortunately, it would be nice. It would be nice if we could, you know, get on to different topics. There was a few tech talks where there was a bunch of different ones, but it looks like we're going around in a circle again. I've always wanted to play naval, like have a big Japanese ship or American battleship, but what I feel is missing is the integration of modern ships. What would be your way of making naval interesting instead of point and click? Greetings from Katowice. Good old Katowice. So modern naval would be point and click. So it would be exactly the same as what you have already. Which, you know, is kind of laying up and do stuff like that. I don't think the integration of modern ships has anything to do with the reason why you haven't played naval. I honestly think the simple fact is you're just more interested in certain things than other things. They've already added a bunch of modern ships. People just don't know they exist, which is completely fine, because people actually don't pay attention to naval. Naval is one of those things that is talked about a lot, but not actually played a lot by people who talk about it. It's a weird phenomenon, and it's been the same for quite a long time, actually. So yeah, we have modern ships in the game. We will get more modern ships in the game. They will probably add them just like they have the other missile destroyers and stuff like that in the game, where they'll make them optically tracked. Probably not fire and forget. Or if they do fire and forget, you will lose tracking of one if you fire another, and there'll be a lock system that you can follow. Same as what we've seen over and over and over again. If you pay attention to War Thunder Mobile, which I know, it's a different game, but they are being developed alongside of each other, just like how it's a good idea to keep an eye on Enlisted and what those guys are doing. What you'll find is they already have a bunch of missile ships in the game. And you can see how they're implemented, and you can see how they work. Kind of cool, actually. So yeah, hey Mr. Googie, nice to see you. Yeah, we're doing tech talk stuff, so yeah, simple as that. Is the background game footage live? Yes, it is me playing. Woo! But yeah, I play while I chat, so. But yeah, the modern ship thing. I don't know what people really mean by modern ships. Like, what do they see as modern ships? Like the ships which just have like a missile on it and that's it. Like, is that the idea? Like, I don't know. I'm not sure how people see it. I hear the term a lot, but I don't know what it means. We have ships right now which started their service life in the 80s, and then some still active service right now. Like, as I said, I don't know how it works. I don't know. Instead of just saying modern ships, I feel like I would need more clarification on what people define as a modern ship. Actually, it's kind of like when people say modern MBTs or modern planes. Because it turns out a lot of modern MBTs that people talk about are like usually 40, 45 years old now. The F-16, I believe, is 50 years old. Would we class that as a modern machine? I don't know. I have no. Once again, it's just like the generation stuff. I see a lot of it as brain rot, and worrying about definitions and classifications of things, which don't matter in the slightest and haven't for a long time. But c'est la vie. What are you gonna do? It's just how it goes. I would need a clear, concise definition of what is deemed a modern ship. How about that? We can go from there. Separate BR for different game modes could be interesting for naval. Do you mean between AB and RB? They already have that. Hi Tech. Oh, this is Elverman. Hi Tech. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we're doing good. Just had a few copy paste stuff. Can you help me understand SBA battle ratings? Not really. They're kind of all over the place. The ZSU 37-2 sits at 7.7 and has a great long-range tracking radar. Woo! Oh! Right. No, we don't. Right, but we'll go ahead with the comment. All right. Sorry. Germany and Britain get their first radar-guided SPAs at 8.3, with the Gepard and the Chieftain Marksman, both with excellent radar. Okay, we need to go on a test drive. What's really weird about the Gepard is that you can only take 40 rounds of APDS into battle. But can you take 640 rounds of any other ammo type? Yeah, it's a balancing thing. You know, so people don't just bring full APDS. Meanwhile, America has the M163 at 7.7, which has a radar that's less than useless and low velocity ammo. Yeah, it's a tracking radar. America doesn't get a proper radar-guided SPAA until 9.0. Yeah, but that radar AA used to be a lot lower, and it turns out it was pretty busted. Basically, only the Soviets get a proper radar-guided SPAA at 7.7, and it's very good at keeping the skies clear. It would be kind of nice if all nations got radar-guided SPAA at the same BR, but no, it's Russian bias again. Meanwhile, the British Falcon sits at 8.3 with no radar and so little protection that anyone with a machine gun can kill it. I was so disappointed when I got it and only played it once. Right, so this comment can go one of two ways. Because that last statement throws everything a bit off, right? The Falcon is incredibly good multi-role vehicle. It's good at close range stuff, and it's good at killing tanks. So it's not really comparable in a role to the same as stuff like the ZSU and things like that. The ZSU 37-2 used to be a higher BR. One of the things that needs to be thought about in this setup is have these vehicles been played or not by the you know the person commenting, because if they have, fair enough. But the ZSU 37-2 used to be a high BR. It went down in BR because they did a fundamental change to it, which kind of broke it. They also did it with the Shilka as well. And the fundamental change was, number one, they added stuff that can outrange the two vehicles in the form of helicopters and guided bombs. Because the ZSU 37-2 and also the Shilka have shorter ranges of engagement compared to the Gepard, the Marksman, any of those high velocity 35mm AAs. And they also made the tracking radar completely worthless at long ranges. What is also confusing about the comment is the Marksman also has a really bad tracking radar. So I don't understand where the idea comes from that that vehicle is even in a good place right now. The Gepard is incredibly good. But yeah, the fact is the reason all those vehicles moved around is because they were either way too good for the BR bracket, or they did changes to them which made them terrible. Like the Sergeant York, right? The Sergeant York used to be like, what was it, 8.0, 8.3, 8.7 maybe? And then they gave it HE, it had HEVT, it was broken for a long time, didn't work properly. Then it started working, then they buffed its radar and its tracking, so it's search and tracking. And then also they made it so for some reason it can overpressure things that it really shouldn't be able to overpressure. And I think they fixed that, but I'm not sure if they did or not. So you have these vehicles, which if you look at like this, if you just look at them on a piece of paper, you go, why are all these things like these general BRs? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But they all have little intricacies to them, which make them the BRs, right? So these vehicles are not as comparable as you may think that they are. The Vulcan at 7.7 is very limited. But once again, that one has a poor tracking radar too. And is not very fun. I wish I had a better tracking radar. It doesn't. So, yeah, they heavily nerfed a lot of tracking radars, which made a lot of the vehicles a lot harder to use. I think what is important in times like this, when we have, thoughts like this, is just to go play all of the different vehicles, or at least some of them, and play them for like 5 or 10 matches, and then kind of see little things that turn up and wonder why that is, or why does it feel like that, right? The F8U too. If you have a look at the vehicle, at 10.0, it's insanely fast. It's really maneuverable. It gets 4 aim 9Ds at 10.0, which is just crazy. Thank you for the raid, Teach Me JS. That's very kind of you. You get 4 aim 9Ds. You get countermeasures. That's nuts. You get like an RWR, you get a radar, you get everything. Why is it 10.0? It's as fast as a lot of 10.3, 10.7s. Oh, it's because when you try and turn it, it blows up. Like, the wing just falls off. Right? But you wouldn't know that unless you played it, Like, it wouldn't happen. Like, that's the thing. Same with, like, the MiG-23M. It's got 6 missiles. It's amazingly fast. It has what is effectively a pulse Doppler radar. Doesn't have a lot of countermeasures, but, it has enough. So you look at a vehicle like that and you go, shit, it's got a lot of firepower, that one. Why is that 11.0? Well, the missiles got nerfed into the ground. It turns like a bus. And there are things that are faster than it. So it's just how it goes, So yeah. Like, it's just one of those things. I don't know how else to put it. It's like comparing stuff like the M60, the T55, and the Centurion, and wondering why they're all different BRs, even though they're all medium tanks. Sounds good. Teach Me JS. Look after yourself, man. Hopefully you had a good stream. But yeah, we'll get back to this comment, because I need to kind of show you stuff in test drive for it. To go over it. Then we have Common Sense. Hey TEC, as a fellow Canadian, I'm pumped at the rumours of the Canadian subtree. There are a bunch of vehicles that would be cool to see. British tree would be the obvious choice. I would love to see the Avro Arrow, of course, and seeing it would be pretty useless in the game. Maybe they bring it in the future update alongside the much wanted and talked about, but also useless in the game MiG-25. Yeah, we could have like an update useless, or update filler. Update iconic filler. Any fellow Canadians listening to this, you can actually play an Avro Arrow in a little indie arcade-style Ace Combat type game called Project Wingman, FYI. Whoa! Also, my old severe damage mechanic called, and they want their wings back. That's all for today. Cheers to all. Cheers to you too, man. Hopefully you're doing good. But yeah, if you didn't know, the Avro Arrow, the mighty Avro Arrow, is in Project Wingman. Also, just to let you know, Space Crew Legendary Edition is free right now, so you can go pick it up for free. Then also, at the same time, all of the Command & Conquers are crazy cheap on Steam right now. And EA also did something else which is pretty cool. The Saboteur, that game, Saboteur, set in Paris, play the Irishman. It's on Steam again, and it's 50% off right now. So I picked it up. For me, it was like $7, 7 Canadian, so it's about like $5 US. Well worth it. Well worth it. And yeah, it would be lovely to see a Canadian subtree. I'm looking forward to whatever whatever the rumors are around that, and whatever comes into the game, it'll be lovely to see. There's a lot of people I know over here who are in the Canadian Armed Forces or around them, and you know the history of Canada is a very interesting one to kind of go through, especially basically from the 1900s to now, since that's most of its history. But it's always fun to look at and see. I think will there be a discount on Steam on the 14th? I have no idea. But it's just Space Crew Legendary Edition is available until then, so I don't know if there's a discount or not. I got no idea what's going on. They're also removing all of the Adult Swim games from. They're removing all of the Adult Swim games from Steam. So if you're interested in those, this would be the time to pick them up. Okay, so let's just quickly look at all of these different AAs, right? So the ZSU 37-2 was the first one brought up. It's a 37mm. It has a pretty rough fire rate and only has one set of rounds on it. So from this range, you can see that the tracking radar works pretty well, right? Okay, so it stays on target. You know, you can hammer stuff, which is really cool. As you extend the range, what you will find with the tracking radar, not just the search radar, is that it starts to bobble. And this is the biggest issue with it. So this is at 4 kilometers. So usually you will actually attack helicopters from that distance. Look at the bobble on this. You don't have HEVT. You have to hit the target with the rounds, and also they're not as fast as others. So the tracking radar on a vehicle like this is only useful pretty much up to about maybe 2 kilometers. And that's the problem. A lot of things nowadays outrange that, whether it be guided bombs or whether it be helicopters. So trying to hit a helicopter with this thing, or trying to hit anything with this thing, is just a pain because of that bob on the tracking radar, right? The marksman does the same thing, right? But the marksman gets away with it because it has the 35mm. So the 35mm are much higher velocity. You get the 2 different belts, so you actually have access to the APDS, which is quite nice. And also, your radar's faster. And also not on for some reason. Alright, come on. So your radar is a 360 one, which you can make the ZSU one, but it's a lot quicker, right? And also, you can easily snap to targets like this. You see how we're doing that? Boom, right? So if we go to that guy again, if I can see him. There he is. Okay, so he's 3 away. And you see, look. You see how much it's moving at 3.5 away? So that means that trying to get accurate shots with this tracking radar is very hard to do. And as I said, since they added a bunch of helicopters, and since they added a bunch of different stuff into the game, it's hard to set it up, and it's hard to hit people. Because they don't just go in a straight line, like a lot of these guys do. Right? And then, the Gepard does not have this issue. The Gepard doesn't have that problem. So that's why the Gepard is 8.3. The Falcon is also 8.3 for that reason, because it's got high muzzle velocity, and also it has access to APDS, which they nerfed, by the way. This thing used to have nearly a full belt of APDS, which it would just hammer people with. So this has 620 rounds, where a quarter of the rounds are APDS. So they can go through over 100mm of armor, right? The other one is the Sergeant York, which has a proper tracking radar and search radar and has HEVT. This round is the reason it went up in BR, right? All of the other factors are still good, but if this did not have this round, just like the VEEK, right, the VEEK 40, it would not have gone up in BR. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why they're different vehicles. So from the outset, they might look very similar, but they don't play very similar. So that's two very different things. So yeah, I think that's important to go through. So then we have Koza. I'm not paying $140 AU for pixels. Fair enough. Neither would I. Like, I don't know. The thing about general prices is the prices themselves are not designed to be available for everybody. They're designed in a way so it targets the vast majority of people or the target market, and then you make up the rest in other areas, right? So it's the classic, just because you won't buy it doesn't mean somebody else won't. And this is one of the problems that we've had in gaming in general for a very long time. No matter how much you try and boycott a product, if most people don't care about social media and just play games. Like the Helldivers, right? Helldivers is a great example. Don't know if any of you guys have been following Helldivers. I've been following it, not playing it, but just like following the media around it and stuff. So they did a balance patch with Helldivers, and the balance patch basically the idea of it was to bring into line, certain guns so they used a bit more, and also at the same time, try and balance the things out so people just wouldn't do the same stuff over and over and over again. Okay? Because what happens a lot, especially in games like Helldivers, people just play the meta over and over and over again. They get bored, they unlock everything, then they leave. So you either try and keep bringing in additional content, so people will continue to enjoy it, or you keep bringing in balance changes to change up how people play the game. Once you change the way that people farm stuff, you will get a backlash. Happens all the time in War Thunder. Happens all the time in pretty much any game. And that backlash will be from the people who were doing that thing, or from people who want to do that thing. Kind of like how people defend, billionaires getting taxed more, right? It's not the fact that you are a billionaire, it's the fact that either you don't think people should be taxed that much, or maybe one day you are one, so therefore you try and, make it so it isn't like that when you get there. You don't make it as hard for you to be able to attain it. That's the idea. So whether it's true or not, completely different idea. Where did my bombs go? Did I just miss? So in terms of Helldivers, they did a balance patch. There was a bit of a freak out on the Reddit and other social media areas because, once again, it was just people going, oh god, how dare you change the thing I really like, right? Because I really liked it and it was really fun. Now you're forcing me to use different things that I don't like until, a week later when they get used to it. And some of the devs did the classic thing that small indie devs usually do, which is they respond to the community, maybe a bit tongue-in-cheek here and there, and, basically be like, look, this is what we're doing, this is the goal that we're doing. If you don't like it, then, I don't know, like, it's what we're doing, though, right? That's just how it goes. And the problem with doing something like this is you piss people off. Because they go, why don't you care about me? I play your game. You need to kneel. I pay you, right? I pay you. I am the consumer and I am always right. So the game director had to come out, apologize to a bunch of morons about this, because this is why you have PR departments. This is why you have community managers and stuff, because you don't want devs going out and actually talking to people. You just want them to develop the game, right? You don't want them involved in the community, because it either becomes a cult of personality or it becomes a dartboard for people to throw stuff at, which is not very fun. So in this case, it became a dartboard very quickly because of the, you know, the general tendency of social media. And now, after like a few days, everything has disappeared. You know what it did to the Helldivers 2 player count? Absolutely bloody nothing. The player count of the game is basically the same. After the update patch, after the balance patch, after all of those things. But if you look at social media, you would see this massive backlash about how, oh, I can't believe they've done this. Look at these guys. How dare they treat us like this, right? It isn't fair. And now, since they apologized and they've kissed the foot of the people who, you know, think like this, what's now going to happen is everyone's going to forget about it and start praising people again because people are weird, right? So what now happens is, you know, the opposite of what happened like half a week ago. But it's also only in the social media space. So you see a lot of people complaining about these prices. You see a lot of people going on about how expensive it is and all of this stuff, which I agree with, by the way. I think stuff is pretty pricey. It is something I wouldn't purchase. And I don't purchase. But you also get the other side of things, where there are people who are willing to purchase this stuff, who will buy all these things, because whether it's, you know, expendable income or not, they're going to get the stuff. So, you know, what do you do? What do you do? No idea. Because it's just a value judgment. And for some people, the value judgment is correct, and for other people it isn't. And it's going to be like that for the rest of the time. And the rest of gaming. And just general, I suppose, product use. So then we have Karam-chan. This time, besides the timestamps, I want to bring something more from myself. So in answer to the Only Len comment, you said something about the reason why you like playing tanks. So you guys have reasons why you like them. I feel like I just like them without reason. Do others have reasons to like something? Is this normal stuff? Also, I noticed most of the time you referred to me as they, which I'm fine with, but I think last week you referred to me as a he, so I want to say that my pronouns are she, her. Oh, there we go. We'll start saying she. At the end, I want to wish you all a wonderful week. You too. Yeah, the pronoun stuff is fair. I'll start saying she. It's easier to do. Yeah, I try my best to do the they stuff, just because through the internet, you know, you never know what anybody is. Like, could be whatever's on the other end. And I do find the they thing a little bit easier to do than the other stuff, or, you know, just names. But yeah, I think in general, there are definite reasons why people play certain things. At least for me, one of the big reasons I play, you know, stuff is the fact that I had fun with it in the past. It isn't a necessity though. It isn't something which is required, right? It isn't something where you need, like, it. Sometimes you just enjoy the stuff that you enjoy, right? Like, you don't need a reason why you enjoy it. Maybe it's just in the brain. Maybe it's just out somewhere else. Maybe you just learn to like the thing. And I feel like there is a lot of people looking for reasons why they are the way that they are. And honestly, sometimes it's just because, you know, what do you get from knowing that answer? And a lot of people like those types of answers. Or, oh no, the guy got killed by a ZA-35. A lot of people like, you know, answers about, you know, the whole meaning of life thing or why you do certain stuff. But that doesn't mean it's required. You can just enjoy things. Like, why do I enjoy spading vehicles? I got no idea. Maybe it's the fact that when something's spaded, or when this number goes up here, like, it looks nice. Or maybe it's just something to take my brain off things. Maybe it's a relaxing thing that I find, right? Just like collecting cards in like a CCG, or, you know, maybe it's just like building units in an RTS. Seeing 0 go to 1, 1 go to 2, 2 going to 500. Like, it's satisfying. I don't know. Maybe we're all just screwed in the head. Who knows? So, could really be anything. But that's the end of the questions for the Tech Talk. A lot of cool stuff this time. A lot of things to go through and have a bit of fun with, which is good. And at the same time, we got the page of history we've done. Greetings, Ephialtis. Nice to see you. If you guys have any questions, obviously make sure to ask them. But a decent Tech Talk, and you know that sets us up for the afternoon. Nice to see England win a rugby match against Ireland, especially after being told constantly that Ireland are world beaters. Nice to see Italy beat Scotland too. The Six Nations finally has 6 nations in it instead of 5. As always, look after yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.